Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone back to our next business session of the 101st Kentucky Farm Bureau Annual Meeting. You know, we're doing things a little bit different this year, but we've got a great crew to make it happen today. But as we always do, we want to start off with an invocation this morning, and I want to ask Mr. John Sparrow, the CEO and Executive Vice President of our insurance, to come forward. You know, as we talk about, we work every day as a team with the executive committee and Drew and John, and I just appreciate the work that our insurance company does for our organization. So at this time, I'd like to ask John to come forward and give our invocation.
Thank you, Eddie, and good morning to everyone. It's great to see everybody this morning on our Zoom call. I'd say it's also, we welcome everybody in on our live streaming event, and just great to be together with all the leadership across our organization as we do this work. It's also an honor this morning to open with our invocation and start our meeting as we always do in prayer. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Lord, as we honor you this day, as we come together as an organization, we want to thank you for our many blessings you've given us. Also, Lord, as you know, there's many challenges we're facing, such as illnesses and also the passing of some of our loved ones. We pray strength and healing of your hand in all of these situations. Lord, we know you're all powerful, and your ability transcends all understanding. And we love you, Lord. We pray that all we say and we do, that it glorifies you. It's in Jesus' name. Amen. It's my honor this morning to welcome our president to the podium. I've had the good fortune, as many of you all have over many years, to work under Mark Haney's leadership. And as we look at our slogan for this event, Together We Grow, it reminds me something that we've been talking about for the many years I've had a relationship with Mark, is how we move together as an organization. That's our strength. We get to work together with each and every one of our county leaders, our agents, our employees, and ultimately to serve our members here in this organization. And he exemplifies this phrase of Together We Grow. And we're just very grateful for that. Very honored to introduce him today. Let's welcome Mark Haney to the podium.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that very much. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to call to order the business session of this general session of our annual meeting. It's been another day of good events as we get started. We're transmitting once again here from the Commonwealth Room of the Kentucky Farm Bureau State Office. We have some folks in the gallery here today. Thank you all for being here. We have our division directors from the Federation are with us here. We have our vice presidents of Kentucky Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company with us. We have other employees with us today, and I appreciate you all taking time to be here with us. But most of all, I appreciate you that's on Zoom or on live feed this morning sharing with us. We already have, I noticed way more than 150 already joined in, and people are joining on live stream as they get started this morning. So we appreciate that so much. It's my honor this morning to introduce Drew Graham. Drew Graham began serving as the Executive Vice President for Kentucky Farm Bureau Federation on October the 1st, 2018. In this position, Drew has overall administrative responsibility for Kentucky Farm Bureau's programs and services. He manages our staff and its finances. Drew is an experienced leader in agriculture, government, and business operations. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome to the podium Drew Graham. Thank you, Drew.
Well, good morning, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here today. And as I think of our slogan this year, Together We Grow, how different that has been this year in the way that we have done business, in the way that we've gone forward, and in the way that we try to continue to serve you, our membership. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And the work of Kentucky Farm Bureau, much like that of our farm families across this state, will not be stopped by a pandemic, and I think we've been able to prove that throughout this year. Throughout the last several months, we've been able to learn what it's like to use modern technology and how that's been able to help us continue to connect to those of you out there as we are doing today. Though not in person, we've been able to conduct our business through conference calls and through Zooms. And as much as I dislike this pandemic, I will say it has created opportunities that we probably wouldn't have been able to notice otherwise. You know, when you think about face masks, for example, and those things that we seem to wear on a daily basis. And what I have learned about face masks is, one, you can't drink coffee with one on. I've got a white shirt to prove that. And the other thing is you don't always know who you're talking to. I was filling up with gas just the other day at home in Winchester, and was talking to an individual there that's filling up gas next to me about some things that happened in the past. And all of a sudden he pulled his face down. It wasn't who I thought it was. And you'd be surprised how quick you can retract what you thought or what you said and try to remember that. So, you know, there's a lot of things that have gone on that we wouldn't have ever anticipated before. You know, but that's what we do on the farm. We look for opportunities, no matter the circumstances. And in looking, we often find solutions to issues. That's the whole purpose of Kentucky Farm Bureau, is to find solutions to address the needs of the public of rural Kentucky and of those individuals that are involved in agriculture. We do this by voicing our opinion, by working together, and not worrying about who gets the credit as long as the job gets done. You know, in so many respects, as we look back and recap a little bit of 2020, feels as though the year came to a stop as we saw businesses close and schools shift to online learning. So many employees from all sectors, including those here at Kentucky Farm Bureau, work remotely, and all because of the pandemic. And it was certainly stressful. It's been stressful for all of us. You know, my daughter is she's got her kids at home. And we often talk about how the online learning, how it's so much differs from being able to be in a classroom. And she was laughing the other day. She said there's a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming and a lot of crying. And then at the end of the day, I calmed down and apologized to the kids. Well, no, you think about that, and we think that we find it funny, but we have to realize how different it is right now than it was just a small time ago. You know, in so many respects, we also look back and we discovered that however while our lives changed, stopping was never an option for this organization. Our organization continued on as the world discovered that what we already knew, that agriculture is an essential industry. We've known that forever. If our farm families are going to stay on the job, so were we at Kentucky Farm Bureau. We've learned to do it in a different way, but we've not let anything stand in the way of us being the voice of Kentucky agriculture. In fact, we learned to make a lot of lemonade out of lemons over the last year because of COVID-19. We've been able to conduct all of our district meetings remotely. Our advisory committees met by Zoom and in person. Our resolutions committee met recommending changes to our policy and got their work done just as they've always have. We were lucky in the fact that in 2020, at the beginning of the year, we had the opportunity to go to AFBF in Austin. Actually, my counterpart, Cy Cook, in Austin said we took over Austin. We actually had over 400 members that attended in Austin, Texas. We had 300 attend our congressional tour in D.C., and 250 from 116 counties participated in the President's and Vice President's Conference in February, and then March hit. You know, but I've come to expect no less out of our members. Our members are some of the most engaged of any in the entire Farm Bureau family. And because of that, we have a seat at the table at all levels when it comes to having a voice in farm policy issues. And I'd like to also recognize Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance and John and the group, and I know a lot of their leadership is here today, and they've kept pace during this time with introduction of new products to our members. Our insurance company provides our members with its most valuable member benefit. We appreciate the close relationship with John and the insurance company, and in that regard, together we grow. We've achieved historic goals this year, both as a company and agriculturally, and we've done so when much of the country was shut down. KFB awarded over $500,000 in state and county scholarship money to our young people this year. We participated in National Ag in the Classroom virtual workshops when we couldn't do in person. With the leadership of the Federation and Insurance Company, we initiated a program and placed Wi-Fi hotspots in all of our KFB offices in every county so that the kids in that last mile, though we may not have connectivity out there, they still have an opportunity to come get their homework done, especially in these hard times. Our Vision 100 team continued to build a strategic plan for our organization and a new program, Generation Bridge, This program was created to attract new leaders in the 36 to 49 age range. Farm families planted, they tended, they harvested record-yielding crops this year while witnessing new international trade deals being made. And we've moved forward with priority issues related to rural broadband, to infrastructure, to health care, to food safety, just to name a few. Despite a desperate state budget, we were able to maintain support for many ag-related projects and programs throughout this state. And we worked with our partners and Kentucky commodity groups to form a coalition in production agriculture to bring attention to the growing needs in advanced technology, because we knew that production agriculture and those of you that are on the farms didn't need to be left out. It was a teamwork approach, and we've always said that when we join together with our partners, we're so much stronger. And most of all, as an organization, we've stood beside our members, our farm families, and the citizens of this Commonwealth, especially rural Kentucky, during this time of uncertainty. We have not and we will not let a pandemic stand in our way of fulfilling our mission. But we couldn't be as successful of an organization as we are without the dedicated leadership that we see at the local, state, and at the local and state levels. Our executive team, Mark and Eddie and Sharon and John, daily we meet to help to continue to push this organization forward with your help. Our board of directors and the jobs that they do and the volunteerism, the participation that they have within the counties are instrumental in how we continue to operate and how we go forward. And we could not accomplish all that's been done without the hard work of a staff that's second to none. And I want to talk just a little bit about that staff today, and I'll start out with organization, division, and Matt, and the job that you do, the job our APDs do out in the counties to keep everybody informed of what's going on, the work that they do in regards to a lot of the Zoom and a lot of technology that we've had go forward so that we have an opportunity to have district meetings. Our young farmers programs and our women's programs, they all adjusted. I can remember when I talked to Judy Hayden back several months ago about the possibility of us having to cancel the women's meeting, and she said, whatever you all need to do, just to understand that we're there to support you. That's the kind of membership that we have. That's the grassroots that we have in this organization. Our communication division and Todd continue to send out messages and keep members up to date with Facebook and Still Farming videos. Commodity division sent out market reports and assisted our certified farm markets. Our public affairs division kept a pulse on DC and Frankfort, policy development, keeping us up to date on the CARES Act and CFAP assistance programs. And our operation division of Tom continues to see our grounds and buildings were taken care of in times of changes to venues on a daily basis. You know, every morning it seemed that Tom Logue was in my office, to be honest with you, as we discussed changes to the annual meeting that we were hoping we could have at the Galt House this year. We went from having it as it's always been to finding out what it was like to social distance, to find out how we were supposed to cut the numbers down. And then all of a sudden we got to find out what it was like to compete with a basketball bubble. University of Louisville basketball bubble, I might add, John. But anyway. Every once in a while you got to put a pun in, but you know, and then when that was all with, and when the governor, of course, dropped the numbers to 25, we knew that we had to make different arrangements. Seems like there's many times that we'd walk down the hall and almost knock each other over, shaking our heads sometimes, but we got through it, and here we are today, and I think this has been extremely successful. And with all of this, we continue to serve and work together as only Farm Bureau can. You know, as we look forward toward the future, we can either choose to be fear or to fear or be determined to confront. We can lock our doors or be open to new opportunities. We can concede another day, or we can stand up and bring the good fight to all the obstacles that we face. That's what we intend to do. I would like at this time to call up Phil Dowdle and let him give us a financial report. Phil?
Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Mr. Haney. Good morning. There is no doubt that 2020 has been a challenging year, though I am happy to report we have had a successful year financially. First, a few notes on our financial position. Our current assets have grown by more than $1 million, primarily in cash, while we have continued to invest for the future in our general reserve. Similarly, we can now fully enjoy the recent renovations and can expect our construction and progress spending to come to an end. Our current liabilities are down substantially as well, though this is primarily due to our reduced schedule of events during the pandemic. Changes in our long-term liabilities are mixed. This year's precipitous drop in interest rates did dramatically increase our pension liability. But in our post-retirement benefit obligations, that interest rate challenge was offset by positive demographics and recent claim experience. The resilience of our revenues in this challenging year has been impressive. While we missed our budgeted revenue number by $880,000, the primary misses are associated with negatively leveraged activities and discontinued operations. In other words, those revenues generally produced even more expense. So foregoing them is a positive to the bottom line. And those discontinued things are now operated by the insurance company, where they will surely grow. As expected, expenses came in under budget too, by almost $1.5 million. So before unbudgeted expenses, we enjoyed a surplus of almost $600,000. Interest rates are the driver of the unbudgeted expenses, and it is also important to note that these expenses are non-cash expenses. Nonetheless, those unbudgeted expenses do reduce our surplus for the year to a modest $28,000. Finally, when we look at this year compared to the prior year, we see both expected changes and pleasant surprises in the detail. We did in fact have a much more favorable claim experience across all populations participating in our health and welfare benefit programs. Other decreases in expense are as expected, and the main year-over-year increase is related to our increasing online activity. Compared to the prior year, we are indeed pleased with our modest operating surplus and thankful with the modest impact to net assets for the year. This too shall pass, and we look forward to continuing to grow through our investments, through the refinement of operations, and through the creation of new and relevant programs. Thank you for your attention today, and may you all have a wonderfully Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Phil. And if you have any questions on our financials, please feel free to contact myself, our executive committee, or staff. We certainly welcome your inquiries. I'd also like to relate to you that even during a pandemic when cancellations and budgeting changes have occurred seemingly on a daily basis, our organization remains very financially strong. We preserved our staff, our programs, continue to operate efficient and financially secure with over $7 million to the good as shown on our balance sheet and a growing reserve of over $13 million. In closing, I'd like to say that I certainly wish you a Merry Christmas and New Year, and ask that we remember the meaning of the season, remember the birth of Christ and what the sacrifice was for us. It does remind me of another little funny story I heard that had to do with online learning before we close, and it seems that they were having a math class that a instructor was online, and there was a young so-called farm kid that was in class, and she said she was using sheep as an example, and she said, if you've got 20 sheep and there's a hole in the fence and one of them get out, how many sheep do you have? And the young man said, you don't have any. And she said, well, I'm ashamed that you don't know, you can't be better in math than that. He said, you don't know math. He said, you don't know sheep. So all of us that are part of the farm know that one sheep will follow the other one, and unfortunately sometimes we're the same way. I'd just like to say that I'm proud to work for an organization whose members continue to stand for the flag, support those that protect us, and have faith in something other than ourselves. And in closing, Philippians 4:13 says that we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. And as we depend on each other, let us not forget who's in control as we go through this season, and maybe remember that sacrifice, and try to, in this period of time, forgive someone that's hard to forgive, love someone hard to love, and try to help someone less fortunate than us. Thank you, God bless you, and have a great New Year's, Christmas.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate that very much. Thanks, Phil, for giving us a report on our finances. And now it's time to hear from the president of the American Farm Bureau. Since January of 2016, Zippy Duval, a third-generation farmer from Georgia, in addition to a 400 head beef cow herd for which he grows his own hay. Zippy also grows more than 750,000 broilers per year. Zippy's, prior to being elected to American Farm Bureau president, he served for 9 years as president of Georgia Farm Bureau. His long leadership history in his home state includes service on the Georgia Farm Bureau Young Farmer Committee and the Georgia Farm Bureau Board of Directors. President Duval and his late wife Bonnie were married for more than 40 years. They raised 4 children, welcomed 5 grandchildren into this world. Zippy is a member of the New Hope Baptist Church in Greshamville, Georgia, where he also serves as a deacon. This is a fellow that I've worked with for more than a dozen years and become personal friends with him. But most importantly, he does such a wonderful job representing agriculture, representing Farm Bureau on a national and really a global effort. So coming to us by Zoom this morning, Zippy, welcome to be here. We thank you so much, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mark, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today. And I know that my head looks a little funny without my green screen behind me, but I didn't have it set up this morning, so if you'll help me tolerate that this morning. Growing together we grow is a great theme of this convention because it's going to be a lot about what I talked to you about this morning. But before I get started talking about business, I want to tell you that I want to thank you so much for all the wonderful times that you showed Bonnie. I know Bonnie was special to y'all. She was so special to me, and she was the love of my life. And I just thank you for being such a wonderful friend to her. And I know that Kentucky loved her, and she loved Kentucky. She absolutely had one of the best times of her life when Mark gave us the privilege to go to the horse race, the Derby. She had always wanted to go, and she always talked about what a great time she had there with all the Kentucky friends that we went with. I would tell you today that a year ago today, Bonnie was very, very sick. Just a very difficult time. But I know that she's with my Lord now, and she's out of pain. She's praising him every day, loving him every day. And I know she would want us to take to our hearts Philippians 3:14 that says, press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. I know that's what she's saying today. And that just speaks volumes to what you're doing today. You're pressing forward to the goals in our organization. And I know in your individual faith life, you're pressing forward to the goal of the prize of upward call of Jesus Christ. And I thank you for being such wonderful Christian friends to Bonnie and I. We have felt every prayer and all your love, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate you from the bottom of our heart. Of course, today, in our environment, the subject that we talk about is the election and COVID, and everybody wants to talk about it. So the election, and you got to know, whoever you voted for, you got to know that as president of your organization who has stood by President Trump, he has called me by my first name. We were good friends, and Sonny Perdue, great friend of mine, wonderful working relationship, and we'll talk about some of the benefits that we yielded off of those relationships. You got to know that it's a difficult time for me. But personally, I have set my personal feelings aside. I have a job to do as the president of American Farm Bureau, and that job is to prepare our organization for the future. And preparing our organization from the future, I had to take that first step to congratulate President-elect Biden on his win. And from that point forward, we have worked to build relationships, and I will talk about that in a little bit. But we have got to focus on what we got to position our organization to be able to push your policies forward so that we can make the future of farming and agriculture in Kentucky and across this country in a positive way. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but COVID has brought a new world to us where we've met through Zoom. We've learned to take on new technologies, just like Drew said. I will tell you right off the bat, when we had to face sending all our employees home to work from home, they stepped up to the challenge. And we met and talked about what we were going to do differently to make sure that the needs of our grassroots got met. So what we did, we set up a weekly call from each department of American Farm Bureau. On Mondays, every other Monday, Drew had the opportunity to meet with Dale Moore. They talked about the administrative end of our organization and what we needed to do to help in that area. On Tuesdays, Terry Moore, who runs our communications department, reached out to all the communications departments in the state farm bureaus across the country and had some very positive outcomes from those meetings as far as telling your story. On Wednesday, every Wednesday, we had all the state presidents and whoever else wanted to join us on a Zoom call, and it was my way of bringing Washington, D.C. to the states without them having to travel. We would average somewhere between 150 and 200 people on that call every Wednesday, and I brought guests from Secretary Perdue to Andrew Wheeler, who's administrator at EPA, and everybody in between to talk about the issues that surfaced on our weekly call the week before. So we were actively bringing Washington to our state farm bureaus and to their leadership across the country so that we made sure that we didn't miss anything. But the most important part about that meeting and all these meetings was that we always spent time at the end listening. You know, to lead, you got to be a good listener. We wanted to listen to our state farm bureaus because they could tell us what you were experiencing on the ground, the problems you were facing, and we could help in finding solutions to that. On Thursdays, our program department and Margie Wolf would call back to all the programs people in the state. And then Friday, the National Affairs group gathered together on the phone and had very productive conversations about the issues that you were facing. So increased organization, communication was very, very positive. But I'll tell you, that didn't stop there. I have personally, and our staff personally have been calling other organizations, people across the hill, trying to find solutions. One example I've been using is one of the calls I made was to Walmart. We had dairy farmers pouring milk out all over the country. All the while, Walmart was limiting 1 gallon of milk per family. Now, in areas where those gallons of milk were limited, that was okay. But there was a lot of areas of the country that didn't have that problem, and they were still limiting 1 gallon. And we asked them to look regionally to try to change their policy to try to correct some of that. That is just one example of what I did as president to reach out to food companies and other organizations to try to solve some of the problems. One of the big problems, and I know beef cattle farming in Kentucky is big. One of the big problems we had was all our farmers were so upset about what we were receiving for our beef. All along with the packers were getting high record prices for the beef that we grew on our farms, and they bought from us and was passing on to the consumer at an inflated price. And it really upset a lot of us. And I called the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. We talked about it there. They ran an investigation. We thanked Secretary Perdue after we asked him to run an investigation. And then we did our own little study of what was going on in the beef market. We appointed 10 different presidents from across the country. And I asked Scott Vanderwall, Vice President of American Farm Bureau, to chair that. They met many, many hours and talked to a lot of different people across the country about the beef marketing. And we put out some white papers on that. The whole thing is online. We hope you've had the opportunity to look at that. The effort was put forward just to generate information so that you could consider it in policy development. So I hope you've seen that. If you hadn't, I think it's a good read, and I think it brings a little more understanding to what is happening in those markets. Relationships have continued to play a major role. And I told you 5 years ago when you elected me as president, I would repair relationships that had been kind of beat down. I would rejuvenate them and build new relationships with whoever's in the White House and in Congress. Those relationships, especially the one with Secretary Perdue and President Trump, has been it caused a financial windfall to our farmers. Over $40 billion over the last couple of years have been returned to the farm because of things that the administration has had to do what we have went through with COVID and with natural disasters. That is a record high. Never to have been done before in the history of our country. And those relationships played a major role. I was in the room when Secretary Perdue told the president, you promised these farmers you was going to stand behind them. You need to do that. And the president says, tell them to write the checks. So I know how valuable relationships that. I knew it was in the beginning, but I never knew that our organization would have the opportunity to sit at the table and have those kind of conversations. The relationships we built in EPA helped us finish up our Ditch the Rule campaign. We got rid of the old Waters of the U.S. ruling and actually had a seat at the table to help draw up the new one. Now, we don't know what's going to happen in the next one. We don't know what this new administration will do with it. But in building our bridges there, we're going to try to make sure we're at the table to let them know why we did what we did in that rule, and hopefully we can minimize any bad things happening within that rule, because we now have clear rules so that we can provide clean water. Conservation compliance is another issue that we continue to work on. We have been very difficult subject, even in USDA, to work on that, but we're going to continue to do that, and I think we might have some opportunities in that area. Tax reform has been positive to American agriculture. We need not forget that in 2025, that high exemption on the state taxes is going to go away, and we got to be ready to fight to keep that or to continue to eliminate inheritance tax so that we can keep our farms going on for generations to come. Trade's been a big discussion item through this administration over this last year. USMCA got redone and is very positive, going to add $2.2 billion more trade there. Japan was redone, was a big protein trade deal. Phase 1 China agreement is proven to be a good deal. And here in the last 6 months, China has escalated their purchases, which has influenced the increase in commodity prices that we have all enjoyed over the last month and a half. Hopefully these type of agreements will continue under the new administration. We're going to be talking about the successes that we've seen there, and maybe we can do it without inflating another or inducing another trade war. We still have work to do in the UK and in the KU, the UK and the EU to get trade treaties in that area, and we look forward to moving forward this administration to try to do that. So there's been so much to go on this year, and a lot of very negative things have happened. But there are some silver linings to what we've experienced, and I wanted to talk about them a little bit. Back in March and April, we all went to the grocery store, and our friends and neighbors went to the grocery store, and some of the shelves were empty. And it was a shock to the American people, and they were all in wonder whether or not the American farmer would still get up and go to work. They were seeing other people not going to work. They were seeing plants shut down. They were seeing interruptions in the harvesting of animals and processing of food. And they wondered if we were still going to go to work. Well, we are true grit people, and of course we're all going to get up and still go to work. But we had to tell them. So we at American Farm Bureau started #StillFarming, and we asked our communications teams across the country with our state farm bureaus to help us push that out. We have touched 96 million people as of today with that hashtag, telling your story about how you're still out there farming and the experiences that you're experiencing through this pandemic. It's also went through 89 different countries. But we could not have been as successful at American Farm Bureau if it had not been for the great communications department there in Kentucky and across the country. They've been a tremendous teammate with ours, And that is something that hashtag Still Farming is something that we're going to have a platform to tell your story for many years to come. Another silver lining is that this is the first year that we'll ever experience having a virtual annual meeting at American Farm Bureau. Now, you might think that's bad, but of course, we're all having to do that here even in Kentucky. I think the opportunities in that is that we're going to open our organization up to the world. We're going to take this opportunity to let people that's never had the opportunity to come to a national convention be able to sit in their living room with a bowl of popcorn and whatever else you want to drink, whether it be some of that Kentucky bourbon or whether it be just a good glass of milk. You can sit there in your lounge chair and enjoy the convention. It's going to be January 10th through the 13th. There's going to be no registration fee. And we think that we'll have a record attendance of our grassroots members. And we think that we'll have the world looking inside of the largest general farm organization in the country. And that is a positive opportunity for us to educate, inform, and tell our story on the farm. The last silver lining I'll talk to you about is that we have experienced an unbelievable unity that has come between American Farm Bureau and our state farm bureaus and our grassroots. With this high level of communication, it has brought us closer together and give us the opportunity to really show what an organization can do when they're growing together or working together. So those are the silver linings, and it's just been an awesome experience to see what has happened during a very difficult time. So I want to touch a little bit on what's happened after the election here. And I know a lot of that's still in limbo, but we can't sit around and wait. We got to work for the future. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been making phone calls to leaders in the Democratic Party across the country, in Congress, and the ones coming to the White House. I actually had the opportunity to visit with Robert Bonney, who is the transition team leader at USDA. He called me 2 weeks ago today on a Saturday. We talked for about an hour. We talked about all our key issues, and he said he would red flag them and be back with our staff and his staff and the new secretary to talk about those issues so that we could continue to move forward and work on them as we go. I've also had the opportunity, the pleasure to speak to Secretary Vilsack a couple of times. He is heavily involved in this transition, and we have also talked about the issues with him personally and also through the CEO Council that I'm a part of. Speaking of the CEO Council, that's one of the big groups of ag CEOs in town in Washington that I'm part of. I co-chair that council. We're also really involved in the AWC, the Ag Workforce Coalition. And then the new one is the Food and Agriculture Climate Alliance. And I know a lot of us get nervous when we start talking about that, but just let me tell you what I think. We know at American Farm Bureau, and I think everybody that's listening knows that there's going to be a discussion about climate. And we have, as an organization, a responsibility to make sure we take our seat at the table. If we don't take our seat at the table to have this conversation, we will be on the table and we'll be eaten up for lunch. So we're going to take that seat. We've been working for about 8 or 9 months with a unique group of organizations, some friendly, some not so friendly, trying to find core values that we can stick together on. And of course, what's leading my conversation is our policy. We get outside our policy, it'll be like a farm bill situation. If we get too far outside of our policy, it'll be a board decision, and the board will make our decision whether or not we move forward. But what we're focusing on is making sure that the things that we do are voluntary and market-based. Projects that you can voluntarily do, and it's based on market-based incentives. And we also want to make sure that everything's done by sound science. And then, of course, as we do that, we want to make sure that our rural communities can better adapt to the discussions that we're going to have around climate change. I promise to you that we will be involved and we will lead and try to make that conversation a positive conversation for you and make sure that there are some opportunities in what's coming down the road We will not be their lunch. We're going to have our seat at the table. We're going to make sure that we lead with your policy each and every day. So in conclusion, if you look at our organization, I'm just so proud of what we've been able to do as we have grown together and become stronger together. But if you look outside of our organization, our country is ripped to pieces. And I know all of you are true-blooded Americans just like I am, and I am so proud of our country. And it just hurts my heart to see people just want to cause conflict, want to cause division and chaos. And it reminds me of a verse that I read a month or so ago. It comes from Corinthians 1:10. It says, I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there be no division among you, but you perfectly unite in mind and thought. I believe that our country can still come back together and unite, because we all believe in the principles and the vision that our forefathers had of this country of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think that as we went through this pandemic as an organization, we grew together, we became stronger together, and we set forth the perfect example to this country of what, when you work together, how strong you can be and how much you can accomplish. So it has been an honor for me to work with Mark and the leadership team there at Kentucky Farm Bureau. I can't tell you what great friends they are and what great advice they give me. You have some of the best leadership that I see across this country, and I value their opinions each and every day. But it's been an honor for me to work alongside of you and for you. And I look forward for many, many more years of serving you in that capacity. I want to end by saying that, I hope that we'll honor our Lord and also honor the memory of Bonnie by pressing forward to the goal for the prize of the upward call of God and Jesus Christ. Thank you so much, Kentucky, for your friendship, your love, and your prayers, your counsel. Thank you for what you do each and every day. And I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and just say, God bless you and the American farmer. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Zippy. Thank you so much for those very kind remarks, but really the leadership that you show us really at American Farm Bureau, we want to say thank you for that. It's our tradition to bring a lot of folks to the annual meeting of the American Farm Bureau. As Drew said, Cy Cook said we took over Texas last year. Well, we'd like to take over Zoom this year if we could. So we're going to encourage our folks to participate and be a part of that. We want you to know that. This is a time when traditionally we welcome Senator McConnell. Leader McConnell usually comes to really speak to our delegate body, and he looks forward to that every year. But this year, being different, he actually sent us a video. Now, we're not able to play the videos here at that, but we do have that posted on Facebook and a number of different accounts. And I've already noticed even yesterday and last night, many of you have already been seeing that and sharing that, and I encourage you to do that. But to Leader McConnell, we want to say thank you for everything that you do for Kentucky Farm Bureau and the relationship that you give us and the open door policy that you have for us in Washington. We appreciate that. So I encourage you to watch that video if you can. At this time, I'd like to call on Joe Paul Mattingly. Joe Paul chairs our Credentials Committee for his report. They had an extra lot of effort to do this year. So with that, please make welcome Joe Paul Mattingly.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. It's pleasure to give this report. I'd like to report, first of all, that there's 338 registered for Zoom, and out of the 338, there's 146 delegates that are participating. Zippy mentioned the hashtag still farming. Well, we're still voting. Yesterday we did just that across the state. With the new conditions that we're dealing with, we had regional insurance offices set up as places to vote, polling places. And our resolutions committee is, or not resolutions, excuse me, credentials committee was the chairman, Alex Barnett. Alex has been a little under the weather. We hope he's improving. We hear that he is. We have Stuart Hughes. We have Larry Thomas was on the credentials committee. We have David McGlone, and we had Terry Lawson and myself. So we appreciate all the hard work and the effort they put forward to pull this election off. Actually, pretty seamless, without a hitch, I understand, across the state. So there's a lot to be said about all the support we've gotten technologically from the Farm Bureau, from the folks here at the office. They're the best, and we appreciate the service that we got. I know we voted the 5th District here at the state office, and it went off without a hitch. And I understand the same across the state as well. So it's grassroots is a key word here, it seems like today, and it always is with Farm Bureau. And of course, you know, our elections and our caucuses are so important to us because it gives us an opportunity to emphasize, you know, the grassroots effort from the counties. And, you know, I thank the Credentials Committee, but I also want to thank the Farm Bureau presidents and all the leadership in the counties as well, the farm families that support the county farm bureaus. You know, that grassroots effort, that, you know, makes everything we do possible, and that's what's so important. So our new mission statement is Kentucky Farm Bureau is a grassroots organization dedicated to serving our membership families and their communities. As the voice of agriculture, we identify problems, develop solutions, promote economic success, and enhance the quality of life for all. And with that mission statement in mind, I hope that, and I think that our caucuses yesterday, our voting process, everything the Farm Bureau does is pushes toward that mission statement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joe Paul, and I appreciate the work the Credentials Committee did to plan, prepare, help make some rules, change some rules that we would normally operate under to make this situation with COVID-19 work, and they did a really good job. We also have joining with us on Zoom this morning our legal counsel Scott Spiegel is with us also, and our official reporter Laura Kogut is once again with us. Welcome to both of you here today. I appreciate that very much. The next order of business is the minutes of our last annual meeting of last year, and those have been presented. They've been mailed. They were emailed to many. So if there is no objection to adopting those, you know, that's the rule that we're working on today is through without any objection rule, or if I hear or see no objection or hear of none, then they will be adopted and approved as adopted. It is right on schedule almost right now. I think it's time to elect our board of directors. Yesterday, as Joe Paul was talking, and the day before, we had caucuses and some directors were nominated through their caucus on Thursday. Some were nominated by the balloting process yesterday. So we do have all those results. Traditionally, I call on the district chair to make those nominations. However, I have those written because it is very difficult by Zoom to start calling a lot of people in right now. And we found that we start losing connections sometimes, and it slows down the process. So if you'll allow me, I will read the names of those that are being nominated as a slate of district directors. District 1 is nominating Glenn Howe from Fulton County. District 2 is nominating Kelly Thurman from McLean County. District 3 nominates Ray Allen Mackey from Hardin County and Mitchell Logston from Hart County. District 4 nominates Larry Clark, Greene County. District 5 nominates P.J. Milburn from Nelson County. District 6 nominates Mark Kinsey from Grant County. District 7 nominates Victor Rexroth, Russell County, Tim Goodlett from Casey County. District 8, Scott Barnes from Garrett County. District 9, Shane Wiseman from Clark County. District 10 nominates Tyler Ferguson from Johnson County. District 11 nominates Clovis Hinkle from Knox County. And then we have some directors at large. Representing the College of Agriculture be Dr. Nancy Cox. Representing county agriculture agents, Ricky Arnett. Career and Technical Education, Brandon Davis. The Farm Bureau Women representation will be Mary Jane Cannon. Farm Bureau Young Farmers will be Heather Graham. And Farm Bureau Insurance Agents, Roger Fannin. I would, on our Board of Directors, I would entertain a motion to elect those directors. I would, if anyone's on Zoom, you want to unmute and speak up and make that motion, I would entertain that.
Mr. President, Larry Thomas.
Larry Thomas.
Yes, I will move that we accept that slate of directors.
Second by Scott Travis. All right, we have a motion and second. With that, if there's no objection, I will declare that slate of officers elected. The motion passes. So thank you very much. Congratulations to each one of you as a board of directors. Now it's time to declare the offices of our officers vacant, and it's time to elect the officers of president, first vice president, and second president. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Shane Wiseman, Clark County. The way things are this year and the way we've been doing things with the unanimous consent, I would like to make a motion that we elect the executive team as a slate. And I would move to elect Mark Haney for president, Eddie Melton for first vice president, and Sharon Furchess for second vice president.
Scott Travis, I'll second that.
All right, we have, was it Scott that second?
And Larry Clark.
And Larry Clark, yeah, okay, number of seconds there. Thank you, Shane, for that. You've heard those officers nominated. Is there any objection to that motion? Hearing none, I will declare without objection that the motion passes and those three directors or three officers are elected. And with that, I want to say thank you very much. I want to really take this opportunity to say that it's been an unusual year, but it's been a year of learning for me. We've had to do things differently than we've ever imagined, and we've talked about that numerous times. But we have stretched ourselves. We have stretched our organization. We have stretched as boards. We've stretched ourselves as employees, and we've talked about that numerous times. We have met the challenge, and we have accomplished so many things. And I want to say thank you so much for being so supportive in making the changes that we deemed necessary. And we've had to make a lot of decisions, not really on the fly, because we've been together every step of the way, and we've jointly made those decisions, but we've had to do a lot of them. So with that, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you very much. I want to say thank you to my family. I have my wife, Marlene, with me. She's joining by Zoom, but she's also here in the Commonwealth Room supporting me today, too, and I appreciate that. Many of the staff are here today giving us support, and we appreciate that very much. I always say every year, and I don't want to fail to do that this year, that I will approach every issue with a steady hand, a clear head, and an open mind. And I want to commit to you to continue to do that. And with that, I want to say thank you. I'm going to give Eddie and Sharon an opportunity to say something as well. So, Eddie, I'll let you go first. If you can do it right where you're sitting, if you like.
Okay, thank you, Mark, and I want to thank all of y'all for the re-elections process here, and I appreciate your support throughout the year. You know, we've got a great organization. We've got a lot of good things going. We're in a spot right now that none of us have ever seen before, none of us ever thought that we would be doing. But I just appreciate it. We're here working together. I appreciate Mark, his leadership that he has, and Sharon, the support that she brings, and also with Drew and the Federation staff. I appreciate the work that they do to support us. It takes everybody to make all this work. John, I want to thank you and the insurance staff for the leadership that they bring to our organization, what our insurance company can do for us. You know, we found out this year that we are essential to our country, and I think that we've proven that as an organization too, that we are essential. It's great to work with the folks that we get to work with, and y'all bringing the things that you do to us. I will have to say that I do appreciate the work of the Resolutions Committee this year. I give them a little bit of credit. I haven't had a chance to do that, but they've done an outstanding job this year, working under difficult circumstances as we have. But they've brought forth our policy, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank them. I'd also like to thank my family and their support as we do this. My partner at home, I want to thank him also. Patrick Howard, he does an outstanding job keeping our farm going. So thank y'all for your support. If there's ever anything I can do for you, please reach out to us. Thank you, Mark.
Sharon?
Thank you, Mark. It's a privilege to serve in this role, and certainly to serve with Eddie and Mark, and I appreciate the confidence that the delegates have placed in each of us for that. We do appreciate the staff so much. The other folks sitting in this room are so supportive of us, and we move as a team. I appreciate their support every step of the way. Certainly the insurance company, and we have some of those staff members here as well, and we truly do move together. We enjoy working with each other. We enjoy each other's company, and that makes this job much easier, and I appreciate that. I would also like to thank my family, of course. Part of them are here in Louisville, part of them are back in Murray, and I appreciate all they do to support me and keep me going. Certainly all of our employees at the farm, and Tripp for keeping things going. He's on Zoom as well this morning, so appreciate that. I've had the privilege of leading this strategic planning process for the past year and a half, and that has been such a privilege and a great way to get to know this organization better and to also plan for our future. And certainly this year has handed us a lot of new issues, but we have met each one, and we've moved forward, and we will continue to do that. So thank you all very much, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate that work very much, those comments. And again, we look forward to serving you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a provision in our bylaws that allows for the immediate past president to serve on this board of directors. What would be the pleasure of the organization?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, David McConnell from Carter County. I nominate Mr. Marshall Cole, a man who served Kentucky Farm Bureau for many years and has been a great leader in this organization. So I nominate Mr. Marshall Cole.
All right, thank you, David. I appreciate that. I know there's many seconds out there. We've even got some seconds in the room right here we see. So with that, if there is no objection, we will declare that motion approved, and Mr. Marshall Cole will join the board as immediate past president. Congratulations to you, Marshall. Thank you for that. We had no bylaws changes, of course, this year, and so nothing along that line that we need to take care of. I do want to say that the Board of Directors will meet upon adjournment of this meeting in about 20 minutes from now. So it'll be about 10:20 when we will call together the Board of Directors for Kentucky Farm Bureau. I want to say thank you for participating on Zoom. We've had, what's the number? Anybody got the number total? Yeah, 154. We had more than that at one time on Zoom, and then we had live stream added to that for a number. So we've had a lot of people participate. We had more, I think, probably on Thursday participating on live stream for sure. And we appreciate the fact that everyone takes interest in our organization and supports that and is able to get on and be with us. I want to say how much I look forward to us being able to do this in person next year. We've missed a lot of the things that we normally do, and we want to make that up, and we want to make this annual meeting event bigger and better than ever next year. And that's going to be our focus, and we're going to hope to do that. So, you know, our prayer is that all this dies down, goes away, we get back to some normalcy. But in the meantime, I want to ask you to stay safe through the holidays. Wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from us here at the state office, from our family, from our joint families here. We want to say thank you again. Have a Merry Christmas, and with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.